Hi everybody, this is Tracy from Sugar Bees, and I have been getting a lot of people asking me about how I do my cookies that I've posted lately, and so I thought I'd go ahead and try a periscope. This is actually, I think, like my second periscope, so you'll have to excuse me. I'm trying to catch the last of the light. The cookie that you see right now is done with the same kind of technique that Angela from the Painted Box does, although of course mine isn't as beautiful as hers. I used the same alcohol inks, and instead of, she normally paints them on, and I just use the dropper and drop it on. And I found that, some of the first cookies that I did the dots on, I just did a white background, and I thought it was kind of plain. So I don't know if you guys saw the one that I posted last night that was a heart-shaped cookie with red, different shades of red dots. That one had a alcohol ink background, and I thought it was much more interesting than just the plain white one. Let me go ahead and show you guys some of the tools that I use. Oh, and of course, here's my cookie swivel. I love this. This is great for doing these cookies. I use, to do my dots, I use all kinds of different ball tools in different sizes. I have some really, really large ones. Here's another one. And if I can't find a ball tool that's a size that I want, then I'll sometimes use, what are these called? Cell sticks, or the back of a paintbrush. I also, mix my colors on just a regular old palette. And I use different colored icings. I use white a lot. This is just a little tub that I bought these online on Amazon. It used to say white on it, but I don't know, permanent marker doesn't seem as permanent as it used to be. But I mix, this is Franken frosting, so it's part glaze and part royal icing. And I mix it in these little cups with food color. So this is with white food color. And then I have, basically like my paint, if you want to call it that. But I have, purple, yellow, and, I have about 7 colors, 8 including the white. And my parents were here visiting from California earlier last month. My dad used to be a lithographer, which is a fancy name for a printer, but he did it all my life, and he is really, really good with color. So he helped me mix these colors and then taught me all about mixing color to get that gradient that you see on my cookies. So orange is my favorite color, and there's some orange in this cookie here, so I think we're going to go with orange today. And just like my daddy taught me, I start with white. Sometimes I also use, I don't know if you guys saw, I had one that had silver sheen in the middle, but I just use the Maricolor airbrush sheens, and I actually use that one to do my center dot, so I think I might do that with this one too. Let's see if I can get this on the camera. I don't know how you guys do these. Somebody needs to teach me how you guys hold your phones while you do these periscopes, because I don't seem to get as much in my screen as some of you other more experienced periscopers. But literally one teeny tiny drop of sheen, and I'm going to use kind of a smaller medium size ball, and basically I just soak it up. Well, metal doesn't soak it up, but pick a little bit up, try the best I can to find the center of my cookie, and then leave a dot. Simple as that. I always brush my ball tools off after each one. These little containers of icing will get kind of, separated. So I take a stir stick, break it in half, and I use half of the stir stick to blend it back to consistency. And I know you've heard lots and lots of cookie artists say consistency is key. It is in this too. I want it to be kind of like Elmer's glue, because if it's a little too thick or a little too dry, I end up with peaks on my dots, or the dots kind of look, you can tell where I set the ball tool down, and then when I lift it up, the icing lifts up with it. And what I do is I have a little cup of water, and I'll stick my stir stick in the water to pick up just a teeny tiny bit of water and get it to a consistency that I'm happy with. And then in my little palette, I just put the littlest amount of white. And my dad said you should always start light and go dark. So I start with the white, and then I just slowly begin to add a little bit of whatever the color is I'm going to use to the white. I always start out with my tiniest tool, ball tool, which is, this almost doesn't even look like a tool, a ball tool, but there's a ball on the end of it. Looks more like a needle. And then for my teeny tiny dots, I have readers, and of course I had to go with cheetah readers. And sorry, I just noticed some people were talking to me. I wasn't looking at the comments. Sorry about that. So if you asked a question, ask again because I missed it. But these are just readers that I bought at the store, but because the dots are so tiny, I definitely need them. So I just see if I can get this in the screen a little better. So there's my icing. I literally just dip and dot around. It's a little harder to do with the camera in my face than normal. Not that it isn't hard to do anyways. Oh, a little off. It's too bad we can't do on Periscope like you can do on YouTube, where you can speed up the videotape. Ooh, I said videotape, and I'm not videotaping. Gave away my age. It's actually a little, the dots are a little farther away from the center than I'd like, but it's a little hard to get around the iPhone sitting in front of me. But this will give you an idea. So that's my first round, little tiny white dots. And then some of these tools have a ball at each end. So what I do is I just start out with my smallest ball tool and work my way up by the graduated sizes. So now, hi Heather. I'll start adding some of the orange. Ooh, what do I have on there? So I'm going to mix my orange up. Hi Heather. I actually know your name, so. Oh, this one's good. Good consistency. Maybe could use a little more water, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So because I'm starting, this is going to be my first bit of color, I really just start with a teeny tiny bit of the color icing and I mix it in with my white. And now I'm going to the next size tool, next size ball. Glasses are back on. And same thing again. This time though, I'm going to stagger the dots between the ones that are already there. And I try to get, when I have the chance, I actually will work on a couple of cookies at a time so I can do one round of dots and then stick them under a fan to get them to dry so that when I put the next row of dots they don't bleed together. And I can tell already that this is probably a little too thick because when I put my dots down I'm actually having to dot a couple times. It doesn't just come right off my tool. So the next time I add some more orange icing to it, I'll add a little water. And you know, some people were saying, you know, they thought this was really time consuming. And I was actually doing this at work yesterday because I work as a police dispatcher. And when you're dispatching, sometimes there's absolutely nothing to do because you can only do something when somebody gives you something to do. So I did this at work yesterday, and one of the officers was telling me he thought it was way too time consuming. But you know what? When you like what you're doing and you don't see it as a job, I see it more as like an art. I really like it. I don't care how long it takes me. Alrighty, so now I'm going to add a little more orange. Literally just a little tiny bit. I normally somewhere around here have a little dropper for adding water, and I don't know what I did with it. So instead, I'm going to use a coffee stir. Still works. It's all water. Actually, I don't mind using a coffee stirrer because it gives me one tiny drop, and which is perfect. So now these drops should turn out really, really nice and kind of a little fat. It's downstairs on the dining room table. Yeah, exactly. And I'm upstairs because everybody is downstairs eating dinner. And if I was down there, you'd hear all the kids screaming and the microwave going off and all that fun stuff. Oh, and I heard somebody just drop a plate, so that would have been fun. So again, I'm just going to go in between the dots that are already there. And now, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I can tell right away. That gave me a nice big fat juicy dot because it's much more fluid than what I was using before. So I get a nice fat dot with just one tap instead of having to tap a couple times. And basically this is all I do. I just keep adding a little more orange to what started out as white and go in between each dot. And then the next thing you know, you get that really cool, I don't know, some people call it a mandala. I'm hoping that as I start doing this more often, I can come up with some of those really cool mandala designs, but not yet. Still working on it. So how many of you guys are actually short attention spans like me? It's a miracle I can get this cookie done because of how much time it takes. I think artists always have ADD. I know police dispatchers have ADD. They tell us that's a good thing because we have to be able to switch from one task to the other without thinking about the one we just finished. So it's perfect for me, ADD. My dots kind of swirled together. Exactly, I can concentrate on cookie decorating for a really long time. I think a lot of cookie decorators, we tend to, or cake decorators too, we tend to overthink our decorating and we keep adding and adding and adding and adding. I'm one of those. So just a little more orange. Yeah, one point you just have to walk away, although usually I have a daughter who is a pastry chef, so she usually tears me away. She usually tells me, Mom, that's enough, it looks good. Okay, so I'm going up a dot. I try not to go back. I try to just say, okay, I'm done and walk away and not look at it again. Thank goodness for our daughters. Who knows what we'd end up with, huh? So you can see how these dots are setting up. I love it when they turn out really fat. I think I would probably charge $5 for each cookie that I do like this, but I haven't gotten fast enough yet. I'm getting there actually. I'm getting much faster at doing it. The only reason it's taking me so long right now is I actually have the iPhone between me and the cookie, so I have to kind of cock my head and look around the iPhone. But the first cookie like this I did literally took me 2 hours because I kept stopping and thinking, am I adding the right color, enough color? Was overanalyzing it. The last one that I did took me about 15 minutes of actual decorating time, but I was interrupted a few times for calls for service at the police department, so it took a little bit longer than 15 minutes altogether. I did one cookie a while ago when I was just beginning to do these, where I just did this center part and I left it, you know, kind of colored like this. Let me show you. This is one I did last night while I was at the police department. I was trying to experiment with different dot techniques. Well, I'm glad you said this one's beautiful, because I was really kind of a little disappointed with where you know how you have a vision in your head of what you want it to look like, and then you start doing it and you're like, oh, that was not it at all. And then here are some, I literally make cookies. These are the alcohol ink techniques that I had learned from Angela, watching Angela's Periscopes. I literally do these cookies and then stick them in a bag and take them to work with me along with all my little supplies here, so that when I have time, I have little cookies to play around with. But let's get back to this one, get some more orange in here. Thank you for the hearts, everybody. I really appreciate it. I told you I work part-time as a police dispatcher, but I work full-time at a college in their police department as a community service officer, and one of the best things about it is I have access to every instructor in the college, including the art teachers. So I've been bribing the art teachers with cookies, and I've been formally invited to attend any watercolor class I want, because I finally gave them enough cookies that they said, okay, fine. So when fall semester starts next week, you can bet I'm going to be playing in some watercolors so I can learn how to do more of this the way that Angela does. So moving up again to the next size dot. I hope you guys, the light's okay. I hate when you get that kind of yellow looking light, because natural light's beginning to fade, and I don't have really good artificial type light in this room. And by the way, I really, 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 really love my cookie swivel. I always try to switch it up, or sometimes I try to go up to the next size dotting tool, but I have noticed that I can use the same size dotting tool twice in a row if the second row I just add more icing. Like, instead of dotting, I dip and dot twice on each dot, and it gives it a little bit bigger dot. But I generally try to switch up one size each time. But I will admit, last night when I was at the police department, I got distracted and couldn't remember what the last one I used was, so I kind of improvised. I thought, I think it might have been this one, so we're going with this one. Thank you. And the dotting part of my cookie art, I don't know if anybody knows who Lizbeth McLean is. She does some beautiful mandala stones, and I love, love, love her stuff. So I actually contacted her and asked if it was okay with her that I do what she does in cookie form, and she was perfectly okay with that after I bribed her with some cookies. Yep, I sent her cookies too. It's a miracle I make any money doing this, because I love to give away cookies, and it makes my daughter crazy. Like I said, my daughter's a pastry chef, and she swears that nothing should ever be given away free, and I love to give away cookies. Well, it's nice that you made your own swivel. At least you know how. I could have never come up with this. But it is a great tool. And I was using, Wilton has a, cake swivel. It's really large, and I was using it for my cookies. But I definitely think this is better because it's cookie size, and it swivels much easier. I can just bump it with my finger to get it to turn, and so I can dot. So this one was like perfect. I loved it. And they're $25. You can see the website down here. Free advertising. But, see, I like to give away things free. But the cookie swivel, I think, is really perfect. And $25, I really don't think that was a bad price at all. So, let's see. Just moving up to the next size dot, and I'll probably use this one a couple of times because this is a good size one. This is the tool that I'm using for, these are dotting tool, ball tools. I really cannot remember where I bought these ball tools, but these bigger ones I ordered off of Amazon, and they actually had to come from China. So they were really inexpensive, and yeah, I guess they are clay tools. The bigger ones are clay tools, but I went to Michael's and I couldn't find any that were metal like this. They had like some plastic ones, but I didn't like the way that the icing came off of the plastic ones. The metal ones are really much better, and I couldn't find them available at any cake supply store. I like to use Country Kitchen, so I have a feeling I probably got these from Country Kitchen, but I'm not really sure. They probably were in the fondant section. Very cheap, like $1 for these. These were, there was a set of 4 tools, these ones. There's 4 of them, and I literally paid $4 plus like 75 cents for shipping. So those were really inexpensive. And goodness knows, we cake people, cookie people, we like cheap. Oh, not cheap, we like inexpensive. So here we go on to the next dot. And even though I'm into bigger dots here at this point, I still wear the readers because I swear I begin to get cross-eyed after a while if I'm not looking at them magnified. Eventually, at some point, I'd like to get one of those magnifiers that quilters use. I think that would be much easier than these readers. But like I said, we like inexpensive, so I'll stick with what I have for now. And one of these days I'm going to have to get one of those art teachers to teach me how to blend in more. I want to be able to, like since this cookie has orange, yellow, and green, I'd like to know how to get that blend out with some of those other colors, and I haven't quite figured that out yet. See, I think I might have messed up somewhere here, but no one will ever notice by the time I'm done. I missed a question. You could probably ask who what. I saw you could probably ask her. Okay, I know I messed up somewhere because I know I'm going around twice, but that's all right. The dots are actually Frankenfrosting. I mixed 50% royal icing with 50% of glaze so that I get an icing that doesn't separate as much. Oh, no, I was going to ask my dad, or I guess I could ask one of the art teachers too. I just haven't seen any of them lately because we're not into the school year yet. Lydia's an art teacher. There you go. I'll have to ask Lydia. So add some more orange. Or maybe we'll go for some yellow instead. Switch to yellow. I like doing that too. I've done a couple where I've blended a different color. But like right now it's a nice shade of orange that as I start to add yellow, it'll add a really neat variegation. So we're going to switch to some yellow. Isn't it funny, somebody has yellow hearts right when I say I'm going to switch to yellow. Hi. Oh, Victoria, that was you with the yellow hearts. Crazy. Yep, yellow hearts. I just noticed that the comments are the same color as the hearts people have, I guess. I've never paid attention to it. I mean, I'll have to look at that next time I sign on. Okay, I'm going to add a good size of yellow to this one so I can get some yellow going really well. And there are some times when you mix in to go to the next level of color that it's so slight a change. It gives, when you're finished, it gives this like really, you can see here, a really cool variegation, different kind of ombre style. I'm going to use the same tool. No, I think I'll go up. Bye, Victoria. Thank you for stopping by. And now you can see it's just a really, or maybe you guys can't, but I can. It's a very, very slight change in the color. It's one of the things my dad taught me is about muddying up colors. Sounds bad, but it's not really. I think the next thing Periscope has to do is come up with sound when you guys ask questions. Because I know I've watched a lot of Periscopes and it kind of gets frustrating when you ask a question that doesn't get answered. And I know it's not because the person doing the Periscope is ignoring anybody, it's because they're not looking at their phone. And I've noticed there's quite a few Periscopers who, I don't know how they do it, but it looks like maybe they have it on their iPhone. They're using their iPhone to film, and then maybe their iPad to look at questions. So that's kind of interesting. I'd like to know how that gets done. I agree. They need fast forward, or because when a lot of times I work weird hours, so I can't actually get on while the Periscope is live. So I watch the replay, and I love watching the replays. I just hate that there's parts, I want to skip to the good stuff, and you can't. And again, me with my ADD, I will sometimes sign off just because I get distracted with something else. And you can see my little well here is beginning to fill up. At one point I'll begin taking out some of that icing as I put more icing in. And that way I don't overflow that well. On to the next size. And someone needs to teach me a better way to hold my camera. I've got like a stand. Well, maybe what I should do is put the stand on the other side because I keep bumping it with my tool. And I kind of messed up here and put 2 dots, so I'm going to have to figure out how to fix that. I don't know if you guys can begin to see the change over to the yellow in the orange, but I can. I know my light's beginning to fade. I'm in Illinois, by the way. Where's everybody else? Anyone else in the Midwest? We're having a really nice, cool day today. I would sell these cookies for starting at $5. It's not so much about the detail, it's the amount of work that goes into them. Ooh, Virgin Islands, very cool. Much more tropical than Illinois. All right, folks, so I'm actually going to sign off, but because you get the idea, I just keep going out with a bigger and bigger tool and adding more color. When I get used to the setup, or when I have time when it's actually better daylight, I'll do another one with maybe some more colors. It was great being on here. Oh, very hot in the Virgin Islands. Sometimes it's very hot here in Illinois, but today we're having a really nice day. So, well, thank you, everybody. It's about dinner time, and I know I didn't have to cook it today, but I am going to go eat it now. So thanks.